Will the misery ever end? And well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watsu-K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos and blah, blah, blah. Now that I got all that crap out of the way, let me just say this. I feel as stupid and as gullible a person as there is on the face of God's green earth. The fact that I thought the New York Jets had a chance to go down to South Florida and beat the Miami Dolphins that was missing its top wide receiver, the best receiver in football, more than half of its offensive line. You know, the fact that Aaron Rodgers was going to get cleared next week. Number 8 was there just waiting for them, saying, win this game, we have something to play for. I'm there, I'm ready to take you on my back, walk on my torn Achilles, and lead you to the playoffs. And they come out as lifeless, as listless as a football team can play. They can't score a point. They can't get in the red zone. They lose 30-0 to Miami. And right from the get-go, right from the very opening kick, you knew where this game was. The first minute you knew what was going to happen. Miami starts with the ball. They get 2 quick passes for 21 yards, both to Jalen Waddle. The fact that he was taking the ball down the field. I mean, without Tyreek Hill, why is Saucegardner not covering him all of the time? I know that's not how the defense works. One plays the left side, one plays the right side, but it could not have failed more today. And I know the defense is not the main reason they lost this game, but believe me, they are going to take a beating. From me. Everyone is going to want to talk about the coaches and about the quarterback and the offensive line who absolutely deserves it. But believe me, the defense did not do their job at all. Okay? And the only reason, by the way, that first drive didn't result in points for the Dolphins is because on a 23-yard pass to Jalen Waddle, they took a holding penalty. That's the only reason. So then the Jets start with the ball at their own 12-yard line. And, you know, as we think about the game against Houston, they played so well in the second half on offense. They got aggressive on first down. It wasn't just Breece up the middle for 2 yards. Dalvin Cook running like he's in quicksand for 1.5 yards. No, what do we start with? Breece for 5 yards, then Breece for -1. All right, then Xavier Gipson gets the first down on an 8-yard pass. And then the very next play, Zach takes the snap, goes back. Bradley Chubb and Christian Wilkins basically blow up the offensive line. This offensive line made out of freaking papier-mâché. Zach, of course, runs backwards trying to avoid a sack because that's a great way to escape pressure. Is spin around and run further back. You just lose more yards. The ball comes loose. Of course, Miami recovers it, and they have the ball on the Jets' 1-yard line. Of course, it took 3 plays. The Dolphins are immediately up 7-0. Right there, you had to know this game was not going to go well. I said when I did my preview video, the Jets needed a fast start. They needed to score early, hang in the game, create the doubt in the Dolphins' minds, and the exact opposite happened. And if the defense had any fire today, that fumble absolutely killed it. It killed it. So often the defense has had to bail out the offense. And finally they just said, fuck them, is basically what the defense said. It's the only way that I could say it. So then the Jets have the ball. Tyler Conklin, who converts a 3rd down, had another couple of very good catches. And then the Jets face a 3rd and 4. There's 5:34 to go in the first. I know usually I do my 3 key plays that you may not remember that affected the outcome of the game. Why even bother right now? You want the play that affected this game? Here's one if you really want to dig deep. 5:34 to go in the first. A 3rd down pass to Xavier Gipson, who's diving. A good pass by Zach Wilson. It goes right off his hands as he's diving. And the next play was that stupid fake punt on 4th and 4. And the Dolphins Stevie Wonder could have seen it coming from a mile away. The Dolphins start the drive in Jets territory. It's 10-0, and you knew right there the game was over. Absolutely knew that the Jets were not coming back. They had no fire, no energy. And Man, it is just so freaking frustrating when the Jets really did have something to play for. I'm not saying they were going to run the table, they were going to make the playoffs, but as crazy a year as this had been, one last run. I wasn't asking for too much, just one last run of hope. And once again, just as usual, they kick us all in the collective balls. And it is now 13 years. This team will go without making the playoffs. 9 years since they've won a game in South Florida. We look at some of the yards per play. We look at the offense. Just comparing these stats. The Jets averaged 1.9 yards per play. The Miami averaged 5.9 yards per play. Miami just 77 rushing yards. The Jets had 23 rushing yards. The Jets turned the ball over 4 times, including the last 3 drives of the game. The Finns didn't turn it over once. Breecehall, 6 runs for 12 yards. Garrett Wilson, 4 targets. None until the 3rd quarter. Nathaniel Hackett, what the hell are you doing? The Jets had 10 drives on offense in this game. 4 of them ended in minus yardage. 4! Not one play run in Miami territory till the 3rd quarter, and even then, they couldn't even get past the Miami 33. We talk about the red zone being a problem. The Jets never get in the freaking red zone. They can't get past the 35 anymore. And the defense, like I said, they threw up their collective hands saying, we don't give a shit anymore. That's what we saw. Jalen Waddle, 8 catches, 142 yards. The Jets as an offense had 103. Bradley Chubb had 3 of Miami's 6 sacks. This offensive line, they actually look pretty decent against Houston. I'm actually starting to think more and more it's only because they knew that defense. Robertsaleh knew what Houston was going to run. But my God, I've tried to give a little bit of grace to Mekhibecton, even though I have always felt he is way, way too sensitive for being an NFL player. And I got my reasons for thinking that. We won't get into them. But the way I see him interact on social media, that told me all I needed to know. But his ankle, I tried to excuse his ankle last week. Forget about it. The most penalties on the Jets has been taken by Mekhibecton. He allowed sack after pressure after sack after pressure. Lakentomlinson, he's the one, to me, it was all on Tomlinson, that fumble early in the game. Tomlinson's been better than last year, but today he was horrific. Tittman doing what he could. Jason Hanson, the old Lions kicker playing right guard. Billy Turnstile still hanging on. But again, when you're down 4 starters really, and you're down 2 or 3 backups, this is pretty much what you're going to get. But why couldn't Dwayne Brown come in the game at some point? Why couldn't they shuffle the deck a little bit? Chris Glazer would have been better than this. How bad is Roger Saffold that he can't get in and help out a little bit here? This offensive line couldn't block a turtle crawling through molasses. And I know the defense has been very good this year, but again, against an offensive line with 3 backups and Tyreek Hill out, why couldn't saucegardner stay on Jalen Waddle? Who's the best receiver the Dolphins have after Waddle? Cedric Wilson? Braxton Berrios? The chosen one, Robbie Anderson? Chase Claypool? But what gets me the most, and this scares me, is when Alan Lazard, say what you want about him, that's not the point. No, that's not the point. Alan Lazard said after the game the Jets got out-schemed and out-efforted. And Garrett Wilson backed it up. That scares the hell out of me. Now, one of my biggest pet peeves, and one of the reasons I try to stay off social media and off YouTube right after games, is because people will overact constantly after every single loss about this guy needs to be fired, this guy needs to be cut, this guy can't come back. They have no replacements in mind, by the way. They just want everybody fired. They just want their pound of flesh. So to me, it's just very lazy to me when somebody does that and they don't have a better alternative in mind. And I felt Robertsaleh has deserved a better quarterback than Zach Wilson. I wanted to give him the year with Aaron Rodgers. But this game, this might do it for me. It just might. This team gets off to slow starts every single week. 1 first quarter touchdown all year. I'm not going to say that Robertsaleh now has to get fired no matter what. Maybe I'll feel different in a day or two. But I am saying if it was to happen, I'd have to support it. And I get it. And I completely understand it. Houston beat Tennessee today. No CJ Stroud, no Nico Collins. They found a way. So many teams lose their quarterback. Look at what Cleveland's doing. Another team with a great defense and a very good running game. Going through the likes of P.J. Walker and Dorian Thompson-Robertson, and now Joe Flacco, who's about as mobile as a tree. They keep finding ways to win games. Eventually, to me, it comes down to the coaching. I'm not going to go through every single one. Say fire him, keep him, fire him. I don't want to do that. I don't feel like it's not my place to do that. But this offensive staff has to change. And as great as Aaron Rodgers is, he should be able to succeed no matter who's calling the plays. Because at the end of the day, he's Aaron Rodgers. He moves around the protections. He knows what to do with these different players. My God. My God, 13 years. It's not even Christmas. This team's already out with 3 games left to go. 13 years, no playoffs, and when is it ever going to happen again? 13 years, the longest drought of any team in pro sports. The greatest fan bases are almost always the most tortured, and nowhere is it more true than with the New York Jets fans. Because how could anybody be this loyal to this pathetic of a franchise for all these years? 54 years, no Super Bowl appearance. 13 years, not even a playoff game. 21 years, no division title. No home playoff games. I'll tell you what, Christmas Eve, I'm not watching. I'm not watching. I'm going to be in Arizona. I don't want to think about football. Sorry, I don't want to watch this game against the Commanders. And, there will probably be about 50 people in the building that day. That game should just be blacked out. If the NFL still had the old blackout rules, the best thing they could do is just black the game out and not show it. Because today, what we watched today, this proved that you could have X-rated television without any profanity or nudity or anybody getting murdered in it. That content was not suitable for children, what we watched. That sucked today. And that starts with the head coach and goes all the way down. And the players are starting to turn on the coach, and Lazard's quote proves it. Onward and I would say onward and upward we go, but we're just going further and further down. And what's so frustrating is there is legitimate talent on this team. The front office and the scouting staff got legitimate talent, and that's why I don't want to hear any of this garbage about Joe Douglas losing his job. Tell me who can do the job better. That's out there. You can't tell me one person who can. He screwed up with the quarterback, fine, with a backup quarterback. Fine, but you know what? The offensive line got ravaged. That's not on him when you're down 6 or 7 offensive linemen. Corey Davis retired. That's why Alan Lazard had to be the number 2 receiver. And this defense is excellent. These special teams are excellent. I don't want to hear about the front office going anywhere. If they do that, it just proves to me that Woody Johnson listens too much to a bunch of the whining, silent minority and just wants to appease them to have a few days of peace. That's the biggest reason I was happy about the Jets winning last week, because we didn't have to hear all this bitching and moaning about people getting fired. We got a break from it for a week. So now it's Washington, it's Cleveland, it's New England. I really don't even care what they do the rest of the way, except for one thing: do not play Aaron Rodgers no matter what. I don't want to see Rodgers. I don't want to see Wilson. He's out. Play Simeon, play Rippon. There is absolutely nothing left to play for the rest of the year. Let's see where they wind up in the draft. And that's about all I got to say to you all tonight. That's about it. I'll see you Wednesday night for the live show. Maybe I'll feel a little bit better by then. But thank you again for watching. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your loyalty. We'll see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair.